Hey, Pretty Girl Club. I want to talk about what to do when you don't meet your own internalized beauty standard. The first thing I've noticed is that the reason why certain people complain about being at the bottom or not being a beauty standard, it comes from two things. It comes from hierarchy mindsets, and it also comes from not having an internal beauty standard. Most women don't actually have an internalized beauty standard, or they don't know what their internalized beauty standard is. And so, because of that, they're very easily swayed. So, think about how a child, when they're really young, they believe in fairies, they believe in all of these different mythical creatures. And that's because they just soak up whatever is put in front of them. They kind of soak things up like a sponge. They're very gullible. Children are very easy to manipulate and deceive, but the way that your brain is supposed to work is you're actually supposed to grow and mature, and you're supposed to grow out of that. You're supposed to become better at critical thinking and analyzing. But for a lot of women, they forget to do this when it comes to their own internal beauty standard. And so they still have a very immature, very underdeveloped mindset when it comes to the psychology of beauty. Yes, I do believe that beauty has more to do with things like psychology, marketing, brainwashing, subliminal messaging. I believe beauty has more to do with that versus what's on TV. But first of all, let's talk about TV. Let's talk about media and Hollywood. Hollywood was created so that certain people can make money. It was created so that filmmakers can make money. Hollywood and media in general was created to sell you things and to brainwash you and to get you to make purchases. So, my question is, why would I base my entire internal beauty standard, which is really my self-image, by the way, just so you know, internalized beauty standard, that's another way of saying what I want my self image to be. So, why would I base my self image on ads? Because that's really all Hollywood is. I mean, they create a whole bunch of ads, they advertise different movies, they advertise different ideas to the masses, they advertise different subliminal messaging to different ethnic groups. I mean, there's a reason why the quote unquote black music is one way, and then the different genres of music have other types of lyrics. So, Hollywood and media, in and of itself, as a person who has worked professionally in the media field, I can tell you that Hollywood was not created to build your self image. Hollywood wasn't created to build your self esteem. So, once again, stop begging others to be your representation. I've noticed that one of the main sources of low self esteem is a lot of women are just feeding off of beauty breadcrumbs. They're feeding off of the scraps that fell off of the table of Hollywood, or they're feeding off of the scraps that fell off of the tables of black men. They're feeding off of the scraps of beauty validation from white men. They're feeding off of the scraps from Instagram or whatever. And you guys know my belief on this. I believe that every woman should have multiple sources of validation. I also believe that that's true when it comes to beauty. I like to have multiple sources of validation for my beauty. And by the way, this is not me shaming Hollywood or anything. But the way that I do my own internal beauty standard is first, I like to look at what a beauty standard is. Because remember, beauty standards are not a monolith. That is another very immature, very underdeveloped way of thinking of beauty psychology. You think there's only one standard of beauty and I don't meet it. So once again, that's that hierarchy mindset. Oh, you have to be skinny to be pretty. You have to be white to be pretty. You have to have straight hair. You have to have long hair, short hair. That's a scarcity mindset. And you guys know that I'm not a big fan of scarcity mindsets. I like to have an abundance mindset, and that includes with beauty. The way that I like to think of it is look at the earth that we live in right now. Look at the trees and the mountains and rivers and beaches and sunsets. Beauty is actually abundant. I believe that this world, and whether you believe in God or not, universe, whatever you want to call it, this earth was created to be naturally beautiful, and beauty is something that is supposed to manifest in millions of different ways. Think about all the different types of beautiful flowers. You don't put flowers on a hierarchy unless you've been brainwashed by the media, of course. Then roses are probably your favorite flowers because I feel like roses, they get the most media promotion, right? Roses, they get pedestalized in the media compared to daisies and sunflowers. And so when it comes to thinking of beauty, I like to think of it in the sense of okay, how much do I want the media to influence my internal beauty standard? Because the thing about Hollywood, if you are not a Hollywood actress, if you are not actively in Hollywood and at the top of Hollywood, you're never going to meet that Hollywood standard of beauty because you are not the Hollywood standard of beauty. And even if you are, let's say you are an actress watching this, because at this point, I am actually kind of convinced that there are some famous people that potentially watch this channel. Some of you guys have been telling me that. I kind of feel like you guys could be right. But no, even if you are in Hollywood, you're going to have no choice but to have a competitive mindset if you base your entire self-image on Hollywood. But let's first start off by going over some of the most popular beauty standards. And when I say popular beauty standards, I mean these beauty standards tend to get internalized by gullible, low self esteem people the most. Okay, so Hollywood beauty standards, that's one. Social media beauty standards, I do believe that there's a certain type of look that is more popularized on social media. Another one is natural beauty standards. So when I use the term natural, I'm talking about your natural phenotype within your ethnic group. This is how you naturally look with no extensions, no makeup or anything like that. I've noticed that that's another popular one. So like within each ethnicity, they all have their own beauty standard for like what natural beauty is, or it seems to be more of a cultural beauty standard. So those are some of the popular beauty standards. So now the question you want to ask yourself is, how much do I want to let these few things influence my internal beauty standard? I know that for me, I am influenced by the Hollywood beauty standards, social media, all of that stuff. I'm totally influenced by it. But the thing is, I don't like to be a one dimensional person. I don't like for anything in my life to be a monolith. I don't like to box myself into anything. And I also get bored very easily. So if all I had was TikTok and that's all I could follow in terms of beauty standards, I'm actually going to get bored with that. I don't want to look like a TikTok girl 24/7. Some days I want to have more of an elegant type of beauty, or, I want to create my own custom beauty standard. So the way that I like to do it is I like to think of my beauty standard like a pie chart. So 10% of my influence can be from Hollywood, maybe another 10% can be from social media, maybe another 10% can be from my ethnic background. Oh, the male gaze. I forgot to add that as a beauty standard. So for some women, their entire beauty standard is based on the male gaze. But for me, I can add that as a piece of the pie if I want to, or I can totally take that out. So that's the way I like to think of my internalized beauty standard. I get to pick and choose, okay, do I want to be influenced by this? Because remember, everything you're watching is really a form of brainwashing, whether you realize it or not. The movies you're watching, the music you're listening to, even this video that you're watching right now, that's why I'm very strategic with my images. I'm very strategic with my language because I understand that being an influencer, I mean that's exactly what it means. That's why they call it being an influencer. It's because you're influencing the minds of the people who are watching you. And whether those subscribers know it or not, they are being influenced on a subconscious level. So I like to guard my heart. I like to protect my self image. I like to cherish my self image and my internal beauty standard. But what I've noticed is that some people, not only do they not have an internalized beauty standard, but if they do have an internal beauty standard, they will try to force you to agree with them. So they will say things like, if you don't date dark skinned black women, you're a colorist. If you don't date black women, you're racist. If you don't date broke men, you're a classist. So they'll say all of these things, and that's because their internalized beauty standard or their dating standards and stuff, they're trying to project it onto you so that you can give them validation. So once again, that goes back to them having an external locus of control. So these are the people who are not good at regulating their own self-esteem. They're not good at regulating their own emotions. They're not good at regulating their insecurities and stuff. And so they have to try to gaslight you or accuse you of an ism so that you can validate them and say, oh no, but you are beautiful. And then, they're going to soak up a beauty breadcrumb is what I call it. They're trying to force you to give them breadcrumbs of beauty validation. And I don't want to live my life as a bottom feeder. I don't want to live my life as a beauty bottom feeder. I like to take ownership and accountability over myself and over my beauty. If you are ages 18 and older, you really have no excuse to feel like you are ugly, because the way that I see it is, this is my body. I get to determine how I want to look. I get to determine what type of beauty I want to manifest. And one of the ways that I decided my own internalized beauty standard was I started asking myself, if men didn't exist, how would I look? If Hollywood didn't exist, how would I look? If social media did not exist, how would I look? So, those are some questions you can begin to ask yourself. If colorism did not exist, by the way, if men didn't exist, colorism wouldn't exist. So, just saying. That's why I have a Decentering Men series, because I really feel like for a lot of women, the majority of their physical insecurities are really coming from the male gaze. So once you start to decenter men and stop centering your self esteem and your self image around what men think of you, once you take the men off the pedestal, now there's room for you to put yourself on that pedestal. Same thing goes with Hollywood. Once you take Hollywood off the pedestal, now there's room for you to put yourself on that pedestal and say, hey, wait a minute, I'm the Beyonce of my own life. It's not me compared to Beyonce. No, no, no. I'm the Beyonce of my own life because I'm living in my own personal reality. Beyonce does not actually live in my personal reality. She is just a person that I listen to on music and stuff. I don't know her in real life. I'm not like revolving my life around another human being. So, this is where self centeredness is actually very helpful. So, this is why I'm no longer insulted if people call me self centered or I'm too self focused, because being self centered has greatly helped my self esteem and my confidence in terms of my internal beauty standard. Because I like to be very self centered when it comes to beauty, because guess what? I'm the only girl living in my world. Because I'm only living in my own body. I'm only seeing things through my own eyes. So it doesn't make sense for me to compare myself to some other girl. No, she's living in her own universe. She's living in her own world, and I'm living in my world. I am not only the main character of my life, I'm also the only character in my life. Everything else around me, I get to choose whether or not I want to let it influence my personal reality. By the way, if you hear the sound changing, it's because I'm kind of like moving around. Another thing that I don't like is when people think there is a right and wrong standard of beauty. There actually is no wrong answer when it comes to beauty. There is nothing wrong with you thinking a certain thing is beautiful. So, yes, that includes white beauty standards. Okay, so let's stop demonizing people who like white girls or people who like light skinned girls. Stop demonizing people who like tall girls, short girls, hourglass, because you actually do not have the right to tell somebody else what their sexuality needs to be. You do not get to control other people's sexuality. You don't get to control what other people find beautiful. Just like how some people like roses, some people like sunflowers, other people like daisies. You do not have the right to tell other people or to bully other people into finding a certain thing beautiful. That reeks of insecurity, it reeks of jealousy, and it actually takes away from your own beauty, and it takes away from the collective image of the group of women that you belong to. And also, the only people who get mad at someone having a different beauty standard are the people who are looking for validation. These are validation starved people who want someone to compliment them. So they're doing an extreme version of fishing for compliments by saying, if you don't date me, you're fat phobic. If you don't date me, you're racist. If you don't date me, you're colorist. If you don't date me, like they're trying to strong arm you into complimenting them and finding them beautiful. They're trying to bully you into being attracted to them. It's very similar to the red pill men who say, you're not a 10, you could never get that rich guy anyway, so you need to come down here to my part of the dating market. So they're trying to bully you to actually change your dating standards so that he can have access to you. I've noticed that women do the same thing in terms of beauty. They will try to bully a man, or they may try to bully a production company, a Hollywood production company or something. They'll try to bully them into finding certain things attractive because they themselves are looking for validation. But you already know my view on this. My view is to stop begging others to be your representation, because remember, beggars can't be choosers. I don't want to be the puppy dog sitting on the corner of the table at dinner begging for scraps and whimpering and crying and barking and being angry and spinning around in circles chasing my tail trying to get some crumbs of a beauty standard. I don't want to live my life as a bottom feeder. I don't want to live my life begging and pleading and angrily crying. No, I'd rather pamper myself. I'd rather give myself back my power. I'd rather decenter the Hollywood beauty standard or the Instagram beauty standard or black men's beauty standard. I'd rather decenter all of these beauty standards and create my own custom beauty standard, and I center it around myself. So, but even when it comes to centering your beauty standard around yourself, you may still not meet your own internal beauty standard, but that's okay. I personally do not meet my own internal beauty standard, and that's because my beauty standard involves glamour. My beauty standard involves fake stuff, so makeup, hair extensions, whatever. So I don't naturally, I wasn't born with sparkly gold eyelids. I wasn't born with all these different forms of glamour. So it's actually not the end of the world if you don't meet your own internalized beauty standard. But you have to also remember that beauty standards are personal, just like how a person's sexuality is personal. Like, you don't get to control what somebody else finds attractive. You don't get to control that. You don't get to shame people or bully people for that, because it makes you look like you have a hidden agenda. It makes you look like you have an agenda to try to maybe get more social power for yourself. But one of the ways you can start to figure out what your internal beauty standard is, you can just ask yourself, who do I think is the prettiest girl I've ever seen in my life? Does she exist in real life? Is it some sort of cartoon character? Is it a cousin or a family member? Okay, what's pretty about her? Is it her facial features? Okay, what kind of facial features does she have? Is she black? Is she white? Is she mixed race? What kind of skin tone does she have? Who do I think is the prettiest person, and why do I think she's the prettiest person? Do I think she's pretty because she looks like me? Do I think she's pretty because she reminds me of my ethnic background? Like, let's say it's your mother or your sister or something. Why do you think that person is pretty? And by the way, there is no wrong answer. So that's another thing. A lot of people actually have limiting beliefs around beauty. They believe that there is a right and a wrong way to be beautiful, and they call it beautiful and ugly. So they'll say beautiful is the correct way, and then ugly means that you are manifesting your physical appearance in the wrong way. So they have this black and white mindset when it comes to beauty. I actually don't allow people to call others ugly on my YouTube channel, because number one, it really doesn't matter. Like, it's not helping anything. And then number two, beauty is subjective. So that's something else you have to remember. Your body is like a canvas. Well, for some of us, like myself, I believe my body is a canvas, and then for other people, you believe that your body is a work of art the way that it is, or you believe it's like a masterpiece the way that it is, which means that you probably pedestalize natural beauty, so limited makeup, maybe no hair extensions. And by the way, there is no wrong answer. So that's something else that I have had to remember about beauty. There's no wrong way to be beautiful. There is no wrong beauty standard. And another thing, I don't have to discuss my internal beauty standard with others, because why does it matter? Like, seriously, why do I have to tell someone else who my internal beauty standard is? Or like, oh, so and so other girl is so pretty and like you're not that pretty. Like, no, why do I have to even do that? Why do I have to discuss my internal beauty standards? That's like discussing my dating preferences randomly with random men. It's like, that's nobody's business. How about I just have my own internalized preference, and then if you meet that preference, great. If you don't, then next. So that's how I feel about beauty standard. My internal beauty standard for myself is my business. And this is another thing. People don't realize that a beauty standard, it's only supposed to be for you. It's not supposed to be something you project onto others. So you know how people say, you're too skinny. Well, they're saying that because what they're really saying is, my internalized beauty standard is somebody who's thicker than you. You're doing it incorrectly. Your body is ugly, basically. Your body is not as pretty because you're too skinny. So it's like, no, you don't get to project your beauty standard onto me. If my beauty standard is to be very thin, then I'm meeting my beauty standard and I'm happy. If I'm happy and I feel beautiful at this weight, then I am succeeding. I'm doing it correctly, because there really is no right or wrong way to be beautiful. And so that's another sign that that person, they don't have a good mindset about beauty. They have a scarcity mindset about beauty. Another thing that I had to remember about beauty is that other people don't get to tell me how beautiful I get to feel. So I've noticed that for a lot of women who pursue beauty, they're not pursuing the beauty in and of itself. They're actually pursuing the feeling and the emotion of being a beautiful woman. They want to feel confident. They want to feel sexy. They want to feel desirable. They want to feel validated. They want to feel powerful. They want to feel seen. So you have to remember that everything you're chasing an emotion. And so that's when I realized that, okay, as long as I have those feelings, then it means that I am beautiful and I'm meeting my own internal beauty standard, because when I look in the mirror, I feel beautiful, seen. I feel like I'm desirable, like I'm lovable, like I'm sexy. So as long as I feel that way when I look in the mirror, then it's worth it, because you could look perfect according to somebody else's beauty standard, but if you feel like you're ugly as fuck, it doesn't matter, because you're not enjoying the pretty privilege. You don't actually have pretty privilege because you're not living the lifestyle of quote unquote pretty privilege. You're still walking around with your head down. You're walking around, like this is actually why a lot of people will try to bully you if they think you're pretty, because they don't want you to have the confidence of a pretty woman. They don't want you to feel like you're wanted. They don't want you to feel desirable. They don't want you to feel validated. So I'm just going to go through what my internal beauty standard is, why that is my beauty standard, and whether or not I meet my internal beauty standard. I already told you guys I don't, because I have a fluid beauty standard. So since I'm only one person, I can only wear one hair color at a time. I can only wear one nail color at a time. When I use the term fluid beauty standard, what I mean is that I like to change my hair all the time. I like to change my makeup all the time. So I don't have one signature look to where I feel like, oh yeah, this is the prettiest look. Like this makes me feel like I'm just the prettiest girl ever. I want to keep this look forever. You know those girls that have a signature look, they have a signature scent, a signature haircut. That's not my internal beauty standard. And so for that reason, I actually do not meet my internal beauty standard. So let me start off by telling you how I came up with my standard in the first place. Then I will tell you how I guess, deal with or overcome not meeting my own internal beauty standard. So when it comes to body types, my internal standard for myself is to have a very tall, very slim hourglass. So I'm naturally tall. I'm 5'9". I'm naturally on the slimmer side, but I prefer a very willowy type of shape. So very, very slim, kind of like Zendaya or like Taylor Swift. Like that sort of body shape. That's my internal beauty standard for myself. If you come on here bashing certain body types, you'll be banned. But the reason that that's my body standard is because, number one, I'm already tall, and also I've done like runway modeling and stuff in the past, and so I feel like I am beautiful when I have more of that body that kind of reminds me of that vibe. Also, I grew up kind of in the early 2000s, so I do acknowledge the fact that I was influenced in my childhood by the early 2000s aesthetic. And that's okay, because there is no right and wrong standard of beauty. So I was influenced by the early Y2K aesthetic. I like that aesthetic. I think it's cute. I know that now the aesthetic for body types is more like the BBLs and all that. But for me, I like kind of the Paris Hilton body type, or like the very thin body shape. So that's where my body standard came from. When I think of hair, I actually like versatility with hair. So with my natural hair is a type 3. It's like a fine textured type 3. But I've noticed that I like to change my hair color a lot. And because I can't dye my natural hair every week, I actually prefer wigs. I prefer synthetic, like hair pieces. I guess it's technically not a full wig, but some sort of half wig, or like some clip-on bangs, the fake bangs, or like the little clip-in extensions. So that's my beauty standard for hair. So my beauty standard for hair is actually fake hair. And the reason that fake hair is my hair standard is because fake hair is more versatile than natural hair. I also feel like human hair cannot compete with synthetic hair in terms of my personal beauty standard. And this is partially because you guys know that I like the princess aesthetic. And so when I think of princesses, I think of like Rapunzel and like super long, very big hair, almost like this pageant type of hairstyle. So I feel like synthetic hair pieces, or like the synthetic clip-ins and all that, kind of fit my internal beauty standard more, because I like when my hair is really big, kind of like larger than life. Does it look fake? Probably, but I feel beautiful and gorgeous when I have my princess ponytail. So that's my standard for hair. And the reason why is because of the versatility. It's because I can change the color. And it's because the synthetic hair gives more thickness than human hair. So I'm talking about human hair extensions. The synthetic hair, in my opinion, it looks really pretty from a distance. Like I always notice when a girl has on a synthetic wig or something, because I will notice her hair from all the way across the grocery store. And I like that. I like that feeling that the fake hair gives me. Yeah, that's right. I said it. I like the feeling that the synthetic hair gives me. And I like the fact that it stands out and you can really see it from a distance. That's my internalized beauty standard. My internal beauty standard is I like to stand out. I like something that looks a little bit fake and ethereal, kind of like a fairy, a princess, a Barbie. So yeah, Barbies and stuff, they're not natural. And that's okay. That's my internal beauty standard. So I feel beautiful. So I've noticed when it comes to any sort of beauty enhancement, if your beauty standard is something that you don't naturally have, I've noticed that people have the tendency to call you self-hating. And I do agree that in some cases, yes, some people are self-hating when they put on makeup and all that. And by the way, makeup is one of my beauty standards as well. The actual makeup in and of itself, because makeup provides me versatility. So my actual skin tone kind of stays the same. Like I can't change the color of my cheeks naturally, but if I put on blush, then I can change the color of my cheeks every single day. So makeup is another part of my beauty standard that I do not have naturally, because the makeup allows me to completely change colors with my eyelids, with my lips, with my cheeks. And makeup is my internal beauty standard because I can go with the seasons. So that's what I like about makeup. Like if it's Christmas time, I can do like a red lip. If it's the summertime, I can do like flushed rosy cheeks or something. So I like that makeup has this seasonal vibe where like I can change it up depending on the event. So makeup provides more versatility than my natural face. And by the way, I'm going through and I'm describing all of the different aspects of my beauty standard because this is something that I had to do internally with myself. And it's very important for you to think about what your beauty standard is and for you to be able to describe why that's your beauty standard, because you want to have stability. Just like you want emotional stability, you want your self-esteem to be stable, you want your beauty standard to also be stable. So you need to have stable reasons as to why this is your beauty standard. By the way, you do not have to explain yourself to others. You don't have to explain your beauty standard to others. The only reason I'm explaining this to you is because a lot of you guys like my talking points on beauty. And so that's why I'm explaining it to you, because I'm trying to tell you what I think about this particular topic and like how I came to these conclusions. So makeup, that is my beauty standard. So literally there are already two things that are fake with my beauty standard. One of the fears that I had to overcome in order to embrace my true internal beauty standard was I had to overcome the fear of what others think of me. I've noticed that a lot of women have the fear of being seen and they have the fear of being beautiful because they know that their beauty standard might be red lipstick or something where somebody might call it out and say, oh, that's fake, like fake lashes or something, I don't know. And people might call it out and be like, oh, you're trying to get attention, you're self-hating. Maybe your beauty standard for your body is you like push-up bras. And some people think that if you wear push-up bras, you're being slutty. You're trying too hard to draw attention to your boobs. So what holds a lot of women back is fear of criticism. So I had to face my fear of criticism in order to embrace my internal beauty standard and to do what makes me feel beautiful. I've noticed that a lot of men in the red pill space in particular, they like to shame women who wear makeup. They shame women who wear wigs or extensions or hair color, whatever, plastic surgery. They shame any form of fake makeup because those men pedestalize natural beauty, I'm assuming. They probably pedestalize natural beauty, or they simply want to humble the woman because they're hoping that that woman's internal beauty standard is natural beauty. And they're hoping that they can call out that woman's hypocrisy by telling her, hey, your standard is natural beauty, but you're not natural. And so if your actual beauty standard is natural beauty, then you have to be natural. So this is why it's important to create your own beauty standard, because for me, I don't feel the pressure anymore to stay natural 24/7. For those of you who have been on this channel, you guys know that I came from a very, very religious background. So I quote unquote embraced my natural beauty for like 20 something years. I wasn't allowed to wear makeup growing up. I was not allowed to wear weaves and sew-ins and braids and all that stuff. So I had to embrace my natural beauty, which was fine. I mean, obviously, thankfully, it worked out well. But I noticed that even though I was naturally pretty or whatever, that wasn't my internal beauty standard. So I still didn't feel the actual confidence that came with having my natural beauty. And I know that other people might be thinking, well, if I naturally looked like how you naturally looked, I would be confident. And that's fine. But what that tells me is that your beauty standard is probably just my phenotype, and it's probably not natural beauty in and of itself, which is fine, by the way, because for some people, their beauty standard is a phenotype. Get over it. For some people, their beauty standard is dark-skinned black women with 4C hair, or it's light-skinned women with curly hair, or it's an Asian woman or something. So I don't really care about that, but I have learned that I have to be authentic to myself. And I can't allow other people's criticism. Oh, you're self-hating. Oh, you're wearing makeup. That's self-hating. You're a Jezebel. You're trying to draw attention to yourself by wearing red lipstick. You think that you're better. You're acting brand new because you're putting on a wig. You must hate your natural hair. You must hate your natural hair because you're wearing a fake ponytail. All of those comments are comments that I've seen people say online, and they're comments sometimes that I've heard in real life. But I don't care because I look cute with my self-hating ass. I look beautiful with my self-hating ass. I get modeling deals with my self-hating ass. I'm posting on Instagram and flexing and feeling like a baddie with my self-hating ass. I am living a pretty girl lifestyle with my self-hating ass. So at this point, I have learned to alchemize the insults of others and to really just let it roll off of my shoulders, because it's like, okay, if self-hating means that I can look like a freaking princess, okay, then I'll be self-hating every day. I mean, if you think wigs and weaves and makeup and whatever is self-hating, that's fine, but that's not my belief. I don't believe that wearing those things is self-hating, because I can explain to myself why I have those things as my beauty standard. And by the way, I've noticed another thing when it comes to beauty, because people have kind of this black and white, right and wrong thinking around beauty, they feel like, okay, if you wear makeup, you must hate your natural face. If you wear a wig, you must hate your natural hair. If you get a boob job, you must have hated your small boobs. If you lose weight, you must have hated yourself fat. If you gain weight, you must have hated yourself when you're skinny. And it's like, not everything is black and white. Why can't things exist on a spectrum? Self-love also exists on a spectrum. That was a groundbreaking belief for me. Once I realized, wait a minute, self-love exists on a spectrum. So it's not like, oh, either you love yourself completely and you're perfect, or you're extremely self-hating. No, those are the two extreme ends of the spectrum. So for example, when I'm not wearing my little fake ponytail, I don't feel ugly. I'm not like, oh my God, I look so hideous. Oh, I hate my hair. Like, I hate myself. If I truly hated my hair, I would probably shave it off. I would probably keep it shaved as much as possible. I would probably be ashamed if anybody saw it. I would probably abuse my hair and harm my hair. So that is self-hate, in my opinion. Self-hate is more like you are thinking about how much you dislike this thing. So, but when I think of my natural hair compared to some fake ponytail, I actually think my natural hair is beautiful. I just think that my natural hair does not meet my beauty standard of versatility. So with my natural hair, I can only wear it with its natural color. I can only wear it in its natural state. I have to do things to protect my hair. It takes longer for me to style versus the synthetic hair pieces, and that is an inconvenience for me. Like I said, I literally think that the synthetic hair looks prettier than my natural hair. Yeah, and I don't care what anybody thinks of it. So, but thinking that something looks prettier than what I naturally have on, that doesn't mean that I hate how I naturally look, because I still wear my natural hair. I mean, I obviously wore my natural hair all the way until I was an adult, pretty much. But I feel like there's a difference between being beautiful and meeting my internal beauty standards. So I think my natural hair is beautiful. I think my natural face is beautiful, like without the makeup and stuff. I think that my natural body is beautiful. But when I think of meeting my internal beauty standard, what I mean is I look my absolute most glammed up, most leveled up. I look like, the best version of myself. And so when I think of the best version of myself in my mind, I kind of get this image of like this princess, very similar to the images that I post on this channel. And so I feel like the enhancements elevates my look. So it doesn't necessarily mean, oh, I hate how I look without it. It just means that without it, I don't feel like I look quite as elevated as I do with it. But this is just my internal beauty standard. I'm not trying to project my beauty standard onto others. I feel like that's where people go wrong. That is where, yes, you are actually a colorist at that point. If you say, hey, light-skinned black women are beautiful and you need to all think the same thing and you guys need to put down these other women. Okay, yeah, that is when it becomes problematic because now you're trying to project your beauty standards onto others. And so for me, what I've learned to do is no, I just have my own internal beauty standard for myself. I am living in my own world. And so there is no other girl that I have to try to compare myself to or compete with or like, oh, I'm looking at her like, what is she doing? No. Other women, even if everybody else thought that synthetic wigs looked ugly on me, I mean, my own family members have said, why are you wearing this synthetic wig? Like some of my hair pieces are short, so my natural hair is pretty long, but some of the synthetic hair pieces I wear are like a short bob or something. So sometimes my own family members have been like, why are you wearing this little synthetic wig when you have long, beautiful hair? And the reason I'm wearing it is because the shorter synthetic wig fits my internalized beauty standard. So if I feel beautiful with that synthetic wig, or if that goes with my beauty standard for that day, then that's what I'm going to wear because it's going to make me feel the most beautiful for that day or for that event. And also, the way that I view beauty is not a competition. So I've noticed that's another area where a lot of people get it wrong because they're saying, why are you wearing short hair when you already have long hair? So they're actually revealing to you that in their mind, long hair is actually their beauty standard versus the short hair. And long natural hair is their beauty standard versus the short synthetic wig. And that's fine, but they don't realize they're actually trying to project their internalized beauty standard onto you. So I don't allow people to do that anymore. I try to make sure that my internalized beauty standard is coming from an authentic place, and that makes me feel the most confident. You guys know that I do everything in my power to try to avoid cognitive dissonance. And so even if other people think that I look pretty with my natural hair just slicked back in a bun 24/7, if I don't feel pretty that way 24/7, then I'm not going to do it. Like I'm not going to stay that way 24/7. So another thing that people do is they end up being a people pleaser in terms of beauty. So they'll be like, oh, everybody says, actually, I used to do this. I would be like, okay, everybody says that it's the prettiest if I am natural. So like limited makeup or like no makeup with just my natural hair, just wearing kind of more modest clothing because I came from a Christian background. So everybody else was telling me that that's very beautiful and oh my God, you look so pretty. So even though I was getting praise and validation, it didn't mean anything because deep down inside, I still felt envious of other girls like on Instagram and stuff where they got to express themselves with makeup. They got to wear like hair extensions and wear purple and wear red and wear all these fun colors. And, they got to look like a different person every single day. They could wear contacts. They got to like draw little eyeliner. They got to do the smoky eye on their face or draw like little beauty marks on their face or freckles or like line their lips. They got to do all of this self-expressive creative stuff with their beauty that I didn't get to do. So I actually was suppressing a part of my self-expression because I view beauty as actually just a form of me expressing myself. So the way that I like to view my beauty is I want to project to the world how I feel about myself on the inside. So if I feel on the inside like I want to have purple clip-in extensions, even though other people might be saying, oh, but your natural hair looks so pretty when it's black. Okay, but that's not satisfying me because I'm still going through the cognitive dissonance of not meeting my internalized beauty standard. And so, something else that I realized about beauty is that no two people have the same beauty standards. So, even though I was wearing my natural hair and all that, I still wanted to wear the extensions because that was my beauty standard, was being able to have freedom to wear whatever colors I want. Like I've always wanted to express myself in that way and kind of like play around and be creative and stuff. And so I felt suppressed. But one thing I had to realize is that people are always going to disagree with your beauty. There will always be someone who disagrees with your internal beauty standard. There will always be someone who disagrees and says, hey, you don't look good with red lipstick, or hey, red lipstick isn't pretty. You shouldn't wear that. But that's just a part of life. Just like how there are people who have different dating standards, different financial standards, they have different opinions. Beauty is really just an opinion. It's an opinion at the end of the day. So what's most important is my opinion of myself. So now I want to get to the next question, which is how do I deal with not meeting my internal beauty standard naturally? Well, the way that I deal with that is natural beauty is not my internal beauty standard. So I don't have to worry about, oh, I don't feel that pretty right now or something like that because I already know, oh, my actual beauty standard is being able to like kind of change up my look with all of these different beauty enhancements. I actually like the beauty enhancements because it's actually a hobby for me. I don't do it in the sense of I'm trying to make it look like it's my real hair, or like I'm trying to make these anime contacts look like it's my real eyes, or I'm trying to make this princess outfit look like this is what I wear all the time. So I feel like for some people, if you have a beauty standard of natural beauty, which it seems like some women do, their beauty standard is having naturally curly hair, and maybe their hair is 4C. Well, that means that you're going to have to relax your hair then. I'm just being honest. Like I'm not shaming it or anything. There's nothing wrong with it, by the way. But if your standard is having a natural, like naturally looking that way with it being the hair growing out of your head and stuff, then yeah, you're the type of person then where relaxers are really your standard because you can't grow the natural curlier hair. By the way, none of the stuff that I'm saying on here, I am not projecting my beauty standards onto anyone. Do not ever let me or anybody else try to control your internal beauty standard. But you get to decide for yourself though, like what do I think is the most beautiful? Do I think that having versatility is the most beautiful? Because I know that's my beauty standard. Kind of the fluid beauty, versatile beauty. I like being able to look like a totally different person every single day. And so for that reason, I can't be natural all the time because I won't satisfy that inner child's desire of playing dress up. Because I like to treat myself like I'm a Barbie doll or something. So yes, I like to play dress up. I like to look like a different person. But for the people who are more into the natural beauty, these are more so the girls who maybe they will get a surgery because their beauty standard is, okay, I want my nose to be naturally, I don't know, like pointy or something, or I want it to be naturally round, or I want it to naturally point upwards. I want it to naturally not have a hook in my nose versus having to put on the makeup every morning. And by the way, no matter what your beauty standard is, someone is going to call you self-hating, especially if you're using any sort of enhancement of any kind. If you are doing anything externally to yourself in order to beautify yourself, somebody out there will say it's self-hating. There are people who say that tanning is self-hating. There are people who believe makeup is self-hating. There are people who say wigs and weaves are self-hating. That like wearing waist trainers or trying to be skinny or like doing juice cleanses and all that, like not eating for a couple days, that's self-hating. And the way that I view beauty is as long as I'm not harming myself or others, there's no problem. So I'm not projecting my beauty standards onto you guys. I'm just telling you guys how I think of my own beauty. I'm not telling you, oh, you guys have to be 5'9" and look like a runway model. Well, no. Your beauty standard might be something different in terms of body types. So that's a fun way to look at it though. You can do like a journal prompt and then you can kind of write down like, okay, what is my beauty standard for a body type? Do I like more muscle definition? Do I like more of a fleshy look? Do I like a slim, thick look or just a super skinny look? Do I like thigh gaps? Do I like showing collarbones? And you can actually break it down piece by piece, body part by body part, and you can make it fun. Like, okay, what's my beauty standard for eye colors? Do I like just having the same, my natural eye color? Is that my beauty standard? Whatever my natural eye color is, that's what I want to show off or kind of flex. Okay, that's fine. And then for other people, maybe it's, oh, I like to wear those anime contacts, or I like to wear contacts that match my shirt, or I like to wear a different eye color every day, or I want to do those eye drops where it like changes the color of your eyes. And another thing that I had to learn about my internal beauty standard is I have to rep my beauty standard loud and proud because otherwise it takes away the fun. So, like, if I am wearing my makeup and I'm looking cute, but then I'm walking around ashamed that I'm wearing makeup, kind of like how I used to a little bit when I was younger or when I was very religious, then it takes away all the fun because now I'm walking around, I'm not enjoying the fun makeup. You know, now I feel judged or whatever. So it takes away the confidence because remember, all of this beauty stuff, you're doing this so you can manifest that inner confidence so that you can feel beautiful. You're supposed to feel beautiful. I mean, I would hope that if you're putting in all this work and losing all this weight and doing all this stuff, that you would feel beautiful, right? So I've had to learn to never let somebody shame me for feeling beautiful. I'm never going to let someone shame me for doing what I want to do in order to feel beautiful. Because you know what? This is my world. I'm the only one who's looking at myself in the mirror every day. I'm the only one who's living in my body. I'm the only one who knows my heart's desires when it comes to how I want to look. And so, as long as I'm happy on the inside, that's what matters. Whether it's real, whether it's fake. And if it is fake, I don't care if people call me self hating. Oh, you hate yourself because you wear makeup. Oh, you must hate yourself because you're wearing a fake ponytail. I don't care because I look beautiful. I will flip my fake ponytail in your face and then I will take an Instagram picture and I'll probably get more likes than you. Okay, I'm acting crazy right now. But no, seriously, that's how I like to think of my beauty though. And another thing, I've noticed that some women they take beauty too seriously. So, for example, when I post videos talking about beauty, girls will actually get offended and they'll be like, "You're being so shallow and you need to think about other stuff." And I'm like, "Wait a minute. Why are you taking a YouTube video so seriously? Beauty in and of itself is just a playful topic. This is a playful, lighthearted topic. I have fun talking about beauty. This is not supposed to be something where it's like, oh, you're banned from talking about beauty, or like, if you like talking about beauty, you're just a shallow person. You have nothing going for you. How dare you make a 45-minute YouTube video talking about beauty? You ought to be ashamed of yourself." And another thing that I like to remind myself is, hey, what do I want from my beauty? What do I want to achieve with my beauty? Is there a certain goal? Is my beauty a means to an end? Because for me, my beauty is not necessarily a means to an end. The beauty in and of itself is the end goal for me. But for some women, they want beauty so they can get likes on Instagram, get a boyfriend, get some wealth, I don't know, be a model or something, make some sort of career out of their beauty. So I ask this question all the time. If you looked perfect tomorrow, what would you do? If you had the perfect beauty, your body's perfect, your hair is perfect, teeth are perfect, everything looks perfect, what would you do? How would you live your life differently? Because that will show you what your goals are with your beauty. So for me, what I would do differently is I guess I would just be even more confident and carefree. I would have more fun. I would probably take even more photos and I don't know, just post them everywhere. And another thing is, if you knew that no one was going to judge you, how would you look? What kind of beauty would you have? Because that is your true internalized beauty standard. If you knew nobody would judge you, how would you look? If you knew that men wouldn't judge you, that your parents wouldn't judge you, that your friends wouldn't judge you, how would you look? And that is what your true internalized beauty standard is. And that was how I realized that I tend to have a bit more of an abstract beauty standard. I am still influenced by other beauty standards though, like Instagram and all that, but that's not like my main thing. I guess I like to pick and choose. I will pick and choose what I like from Instagram or Pinterest or some movie or something, and then I will infuse that into my beauty standards. By the way, I have hundreds of different beauty standards for myself, because my beauty standard is flexibility and versatility. That's my standard. For a lot of you guys, it's probably not that. Maybe you like kind of like an elegant look, or you like the cute IG baddie look, and that is your beauty standard. Anything outside of that would not be as beautiful to you, and that is totally okay. No two people have the exact same beauty standard. And by the way, another way to deal with not meeting your internalized beauty standard is realizing that life is not a competition on who can meet their internalized beauty standard. Like, this is not a competition. Nobody else even knows what my internal beauty standard is. Well, I guess now you guys do, but you guys don't know me in real life. So it's like nobody else in this whole world knows what my internal beauty standard is anyway. So why is it a big deal? So the way that I look at it is I just try to make sure that I have my cute beauty stuff. So, like my little makeup, if I want to switch up my looks, or if I want to put on a little fake clip on bang and wear my hair in a high bun and I want to have fake bangs that day, then I just make sure I have my cute little beauty items. But it's not so bad to the point where I have anxiety or something like that. I would say that if you have anxiety, that means that you are very far away from meeting your internalized beauty standard. So you may want to ask yourself, why am I getting anxiety? Is it because I'm 70 pounds overweight instead of just 5 pounds overweight? Because that makes a difference. And to be completely honest, I really don't even like the term beauty standard, because standard, that implies that like it's a standard for multiple people. And if you don't meet that standard, then you're like kind of below the standard. So I don't even like that. Maybe I'll call it like my own internal beauty identity. Because the way that I view beauty, I actually don't view it like it's a standard, like it's a standardized test. No, the way I view beauty is a lifestyle. So I get to look forward to all of the different hairstyles I'm going to try over the next 6 months. I get to look forward to all of the thousands of makeup looks that I get to experiment with for the rest of my life. I get to look forward to all of the different fashion pieces that I'm going to wear. That's the way that I like to think of beauty. I think of it as something that is a lifestyle, and I also think of it as something where I'm being playful with it. Because remember, your own beauty should not be causing you anxiety, because this is your internal beauty standard. So you have to regulate yourself, just like how you have an internal locus of control for your confidence. You regulate your own emotions, regulate your beauty standards, regulate your relationship to your own beauty, regulate where you're at in your beauty journey. You have to regulate that yourself. You can't externally hope that other people will tell you that you measure up, because technically they can't tell you whether or not you measure up, because you're the only one who even knows your internal beauty standard. Other people can only project their beauty standards onto you at best. That's all they can do, is just project. But deep down inside, you know what you find to be the most beautiful. For me, I find it to be the most beautiful to be this chameleon. So I love playing with my ambiguity. I love to try all these random hairstyles, random outfits, random makeup looks. I mean, it looks pretty and stuff, but I like to switch it up. For some of you, maybe you have this one signature look, or you've always wanted to try like that 90s aesthetic, or you've always been into kind of the pinup look, like the pin curls and the little red bandanas and the red lipstick. Maybe you like the princess look, you like the flowy dresses and stuff. Maybe you like the bohemian stuff. So you get to determine what kind of beauty you want to manifest. And I like to always keep a playful mindset about it. Beauty is something that is supposed to bring you joy. So I want my own beauty to bring me joy. My own beauty should not feel like a weight on my shoulders. It shouldn't feel like a weight on my shoulders. If it feels like a weight on your shoulders, it's because you're so far off from your internal beauty standard to the point where you may want to consider getting some sort of permanent changes. And I'm not trying to say it like, oh, you need plastic surgery, but I'm being serious, because if you are to the point where your own beauty is causing you anxiety, what's happening? Like, what happened? Did you break all your hair off? Did you gain a whole bunch of weight? That means that you have to make some really, really big changes in order to get back to feeling regulated when it comes to your beauty standard and feeling stable. Remember, you want to have emotional stability and you want to have beauty stability. You want to have stability with your internal beauty standard. You don't want to feel super shaky and unsure about your own beauty. That's not good for your self-image. So you want your self-image to be stable. So do whatever is necessary to make your self-image as stable as possible, whether that is changing something about yourself, such as putting on concealer, or whether it is changing your beauty standard within, like changing your actual internalized beauty standard. I don't really recommend that though, because I do feel like a lot of times that's kind of disingenuous, because you're asking somebody, oh, you should just change your personality, just change who you are as a person. And it's like, well, no, like this is who I am. This is my beauty standard. So I guess it kind of depends on what your beauty standard is. So for example, like with men, a lot of men complain about being short. And they say that, they don't meet their own internalized standard of what they think is like attractive for a guy. But the way that I would deal with that is, if you're a short guy, get some shoes that make you taller. And who cares if people say, oh, well, you're wearing elevator shoes. Well, if it truly is you meeting your own internal like standard for yourself, then meet your internal standard. Because it's better than being all anxious and scared and like, oh my God, I'm so stressed out because I don't look good or whatever. This is why people get elevator shoes. This is why women wear push-up bras. This is why people wear makeup. This is why people wear fake ponytails. This is why people get a tan. This is why people lighten their skin. This is why people do all these different things. It's because they would rather change that particular thing than spend their life thinking about not having that thing. So you have to decide, like, whichever one's easier. If it's easier to change yourself, change yourself. If it's easier to change your internalized beauty standard, change the internalized beauty standard. But for me personally, I could not change my internalized beauty standard. So back when I was religious, even though I was wearing little to no makeup, my natural hair was like waist length or whatever, it looked all pretty according to others, I still wasn't meeting my internal beauty standard, which was I wanted to be able to wear as much makeup as I wanted to, and wear all the high heels and the little dresses and show off my shape and stuff. So I still wasn't meeting my internal beauty standard. I was not able to change it. I still had that longing and that yearning to be able to express my beauty in a different way. So the way that I see it is, it's always better to embrace that beauty standard, that internalized beauty standard, as long as you're not hurting yourself or others, and as long as you know where that internalized beauty standard came from, why you have that beauty standard. Because for some things, you might ask yourself, why do I have this standard? And if you don't have an answer, that means that it's not really your internalized beauty standard. That means that it was just a projection that somebody else projected onto you. Like, oh, having an hourglass shape, that's beautiful. And then when you ask yourself, wait, why do I want to have an hourglass shape? And there's no answer, that's because that's not your actual beauty standard. Because I know that, like, with me, a lot of other people would say, oh, your body shape is so perfect. Or they would say things like, oh, guys really like when girls have hips and a butt and boobs and slim thick. Or they like have a perky bubble butt and thick thighs. Or they have, like other people would tell me, oh, guys like this, guys like that, guys like your hair, guys like that your hair is long and natural and shiny and black or whatever. So, but that wasn't an answer. So like when I went deep down inside of myself and I asked myself, why do I need my natural hair to like be long and I have to wear it natural 24/7 and I can't really wear makeup? Why? And I didn't have an answer. So that was when I realized, well, that was a projection. That wasn't my internal beauty standard. That was somebody else's standard. And they just felt like I met that standard. So they were trying to probably compliment me or be nice or say that, hey, you should have more confidence or you should embrace this more. But it still didn't solve it. So what solved the confidence thing was embracing my true self and embracing my true internal beauty standard, which was to have a very skinny body. Because I feel beautiful that way. So even if I'm like eating healthy and I'm losing weight and stuff, and other people are telling me, like I've had people tell me I look like a starving Ethiopian because I'm skinny or whatever. I've had people tell me like, oh, you have no boobs anymore, no butt, like you're so tiny. Oh, your arms and stuff are so skinny. I've had other people tell me that before, but it didn't affect me because I still felt gorgeous. I feel beautiful with my body looking the way that I want it to look. And like I said, as long as I'm not harming myself or harming others, I don't see a problem. There's nothing wrong with me wanting to meet my internal beauty standard that is authentic to me and my beauty standard that I have curated for myself. And the reasons for me creating that standard for myself are really nobody else's business. I really don't have to explain myself to anyone. But as long as I feel beautiful and confident, that's what matters the most. But what do you ladies think? Do you have an internal beauty standard for yourself? Are you meeting that standard? Do you like the natural beauty? Are you like me and you kind of like the fake stuff? You like all the different jewelry and all the different makeup, and you like the creativity of beauty. Do you like a signature look? Or is there a piece of your beauty that you have been suppressing because other people have projected that onto you? Like, oh no, you can't wear makeup, or you shouldn't do this. You don't need to look like that. What do you ladies think? Let me know in the comment section and I'll talk to you next time. Stay pretty, ladies.